potential solution spaces that are outside of our realm of thinking. You said something at the outset, which was you just thought you weren't wired to be happy, which I can resonate with that completely. I remember as a child, my mom would always say to me, Peter, do you just not want to be happy? And I would look at her like, I don't know what kind of dumb question that is. Like, it's not an option. Like, you might as well be asking me if I want to be 12 feet tall. Like, I have some say in the matter. It's not about wanting to be happy. It's just about metaphysically not being able to be happy. And then furthermore, my thought, which was even a bit more obscure or maybe bizarre, was happiness was a bad thing because you would stop being hungry.
Makes you complacent.
Yes.
Right. So right along with self-indulgence, there was that.
Yeah. It was like, Mom, if I was happy, I wouldn't get up at 4:30 in the morning and run harder and faster than anybody else and of course, I don't think I had the mental framework to probe that idea further, which is what are you proving? Who are you proving it to? Why do you feel the need to do all of these things? But it wasn't until quite recently that I even began to entertain the idea that being happy is not a bad thing.
Or put it another way, that it's a good thing.
Yeah. The double negative.
Yeah, right. Right. Just to touch on a few things you just mentioned, which I think are really important. The self-talk, Jim Lair, who's a performance coach who's worked with many, many of the most famous tennis players and other athletes in the world. I had a chance to spend time with him for my last book and then also for some tennis training in Florida. And he spent time with one of my very close friends, Josh Waitzkin, as well, who's best known for being the basis for Searching for Bobby Fischer, for those people who are familiar. And he talks a lot about the inner voice. The most important coach and voice you ever hear is your inner voice. So I've learned to pay increasing attention to the words I use, particularly when I'm ruminating, referring to myself, talking to myself, making a note to self. That's a long story, inside joke, guys. Another time. And I found myself using perhaps very unsurprisingly similar language to yourself. If I were happy, I wouldn't be doing the things that are very clearly contributing to my success, whatever that means. And not only that, but on every possible level, if I were to find joy in too many moments or to not feel deficient or inadequate or loathworthy, which is honestly how I felt for the majority of my life. No, I don't just not love myself. Like, there's a deep sense of, well, I hate to use the word hate, but it's the right word, like loathing. Like, how could you be so stupid? How could you be so lazy? How could you be so fill in the blank? Toughen the fuck up. And you may not have control over all things, but you know what you can get really, really good at doing is absorbing pain. Like, get really good at absorbing pain. It's like, okay, if you work hard and have a high pain tolerance, maybe you can win. Maybe you can be successful. And I should put win and successful in quotation marks because they're so seldom well-defined by people who use this type of language, including myself for decades. But what I've come to realize, and this is also I think a common concern among type A personalities who consider or are told by people they respect that they should take a stab at meditation for a period of time. There is this highly prevalent, almost universal concern among type A personalities, by which I just mean driven, like hard charging, head through walls. I can take the pain. Fuck it, I'm just going to grit my teeth and white knuckle through anything that comes my way. Which, hey, let's face it, that serves people very well up to a point in certain ways. They worry about losing their edge. This is the exact wording that I hear so often, and the exact wording that I used with my friends when they first recommended, a few of them, Rick Rubin and Chase Jarvis, very specifically Rick Rubin, legendary music producer, although that doesn't, it's not even a drop in the ocean of what Rick does and who Rick is, but Rick Rubin, and then Chase, very, very famous photographer, also the CEO of a company called Creative Live, which is an incredible company in and of itself. Both of them recommended meditation to me, and I resisted for more than a year, I want to say, because I was afraid of losing my edge. Even though what I came to realize was if you want to use your edge indiscriminately, like a kitchen knife, which is only a blade, right? Like the handle is also bladed on both sides. you can continue doing what you're doing. If, on the other hand, you want to put a nice ergonomic handle on that beautifully honed blade so that you can use it as an instrument for its highest purposes, you can utilize different tools, meditation being one of them, and we could talk about all the different types of meditation as well, because I think they do have slightly different applications, is a tool in the toolkit that allows you to build this beautiful kitchen knife instead of holding on to the blade itself, just bleeding over and over again, scabbing, bleeding, which is, I think, day to day how many driven people experience life, whether they are financially stable or not. If they are compulsively active, if they are using the distraction of constant motion and absorbing pain and seeking pain to numb themselves so that they don't have to be in their own head any longer than possible, which is what I did for a fucking long time, pardon my French, but I mean decades. If they're able to develop other skills that allow them to, and I've certainly less than seeking happiness, I have been looking for ways to both develop in myself and help others to develop a sense of peace, even if it's 10 minutes a day. that does nothing negative in my book other than magnify your strengths and allow you to, maybe for the first time, see some of your weaknesses that are very often self-imposed, and the blind spots that have been like an invisible hand guiding your life for, in some cases, decades.
This podcast is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Finally, I take conflicts of interest very seriously. For all of my disclosures and the companies I invest in or advise, please visit peterattiamd.com/about, where I keep an up-to-date and active list of such companies.